Okay, so I am seriously at a loss for words right now. Like, what in the world is going on with Modern Warfare 2 Remastered? Basically, there have been a lot of news that came out recently in the past few days, which most of you guys probably already know about, but unfortunately, it's not a lot of good news. Anyways, I'm still gonna go ahead and cover all of it for you guys and share my thoughts about the situation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the video. So, for the past week or so, we've been getting some rumors about Modern Warfare 2 potentially becoming remastered and even coming out on April 30th of this year according to some of these leaks. This got a lot of people hyped for the game, including myself, obviously, seeing how Modern Warfare 2 is one of the top Call of Duties in my list. But for those of you guys who never really got to experience Modern Warfare 2, it was definitely chaotic. There were definitely some problems that needed fixing, and there were basically just a lot of things that were a mess in that game. But at the end of the day, the multiplayer for that game was one of the most fun game modes of any Call of Duty that has been part of this franchise, hands down. It was the game that most people who have been playing Call of Duty for so many years now always look back on it, even until this day, because it was essentially one of the games that revolutionized the way the entire Call of Duty franchise has been like after its release. Unfortunately, all of the hype that these leaks and rumors have been building up is quickly going down the drain. This is apparently because Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is going to get remastered, but this is where it gets bad. It's only going to be the campaign that is receiving this remaster, and trust me, it actually hurts to hear and say that. But the reason why this seems to be the case is because if we go ahead and take a look at Charlie Intel's post on Twitter and also their website, they posted an article that basically shares some information to why this is the case. I'll go ahead and leave the link in the description for you guys to check it out yourselves. But to summarize, they basically have stated that Modern Warfare 2 is going to be receiving a remaster for the campaign only, and that the studio named Beanox will be developing the game instead of Raven Software, who were basically the studio that developed Modern Warfare 1 Remastered. Moments later, after this information came out, Eurogamer, which is basically another credible group of people who have a lot of inside information about upcoming games, came out and have confirmed this to be true as well. And like I said earlier in the video, as much as it pains me to say, this actually makes sense with the listing that was leaked on the Italy Amazon page for Modern Warfare 2 Remastered a couple of days ago, which was set at a price point of $25 US. Now, the reason why all of this makes sense to me is because if we take a look at a game such as Modern Warfare 1 Remastered, it was only available to those who bought and owned a certain edition of Infinite Warfare, in which Modern Warfare Remastered came along with. Not only did you have to buy this edition to be able to play Modern Warfare Remastered, you also needed to have Infinite Warfare downloaded and installed on your console to be able to access it. Then 6 months later, the game finally became its own standalone game. But whenever that happened, Activision made the decision to sell the game at a price of $40 US, and mind you, this doesn't even include the map pack that they also remastered, which costed $15 on top of everything else. The original game came out back in 2007, I believe, and then fast forward about 10 years later, and it was finally remastered. But then consumers were forced to buy a game in which they most likely didn't even want to buy to begin with, and then had the opportunity to purchase the game by itself 6 months down the line if they stayed patient enough, but for a price of $55 US, assuming the consumer also wanted to buy the map pack that came out with the game. Now, that is ridiculous altogether in itself, but the reason why I mentioned this is because if they did all of this with Modern Warfare Remastered, a game that came out in 2007, and on top of that, added supply drops to the game, what makes us think that they'd sell a game such as Modern Warfare 2 Remastered completely completed for only $25? But then again, hearing how the game will only have a campaign, the $25 price tag seems to sound more reasonable now if we are looking at it from the perspective of the way Activision has always made their decisions about their games, particularly Call of Duty. Now, does this mean that the multiplayer won't ever become a thing for players to enjoy? To be honest, I really have no idea. This is because there's no way Activision can ever make the decision to remaster a game such as Modern Warfare 2, which they know their fans want, by the way. They honestly can't be that stupid to where they didn't know that to begin with. But if they seriously decide to go with the choice of remastering the campaign and never thinking about the multiplayer, then I honestly have no words to even express how I feel about that. Granted, the campaign for Modern Warfare 2 and the storyline overall for the entire Modern Warfare series was amazing and have left players remembering their favorite characters from the series even until today, but the multiplayer is really what made Modern Warfare 2 so memorable. The maps, the weapons, the perks, to the kill streaks, even the chaos and BS made the game so memorable and so iconic. But if these rumors are true, then Activision is really making a huge mistake in my opinion, and this decision is really going to end up biting them in the rear end at the end of the day. Now, there are still a lot of theories that came out after hearing about about this news to why multiplayer could still be a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some of those theories with you and basically just give you my overall thoughts at the end of the video. But the first theory that I've been hearing a lot is that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is going to be releasing the campaign about 30 days earlier than the multiplayer, just like how Raven Software did with Modern Warfare 1 Remastered. Now, this could be a very strong theory, however, the $25 price tag is what's getting to me. Like I said earlier, it wouldn't make sense for a company like Activision to sell us a game like Modern Warfare 2 Remastered completely completed and include everything that was in the original game for that low of a price. But then again, at the same time, we never know if they could add on multiplayer to the game later on down the road after its release and then charge us more for it later on, just like how they do similarly with their DLCs. I've never really seen that happen in a Call of Duty, whether it's an original game that's coming out right now in the future or if it's a remastered, but it's kind of odd to think that a company like Activision would sell us a game with its campaign only and then charge us extra to add the multiplayer mode to it. I understand that DLCs are locked behind another price tag and that it's extra content for the game that should be part of the game to begin with, but now we're taking modes and splitting that up and selling to our customers? I don't know, that just sounds weird. Anyways, another reason to why multiplayer was probably left out is because Activision doesn't want to take away the hype from Black Ops 4. Because when Modern Warfare 1 Remastered came out alongside of Infinite Warfare back in November of 2016, it actually split the COD community into two different groups, which caused the player count on each game to not be as large as it could have possibly been. So that's one good theory in my opinion, because at the same time, Activision does want to focus on their current game and not rely on past games to be able to earn money from the franchise, because at the same time, their current games and their future games is what the future holds for them. So if they continue to just keep relying on old games that they've released over a decade ago, that's not really good for the company itself. So that theory does make sense by itself. But another theory that I've been hearing from a few YouTubers and even fans that I found interesting is that maybe the reason why they're only remastering the campaign for Modern Warfare 2 is so that they can quickly get to work on remastering the campaign for Modern Warfare 3 so that Infinity Ward can finally go ahead and release Modern Warfare 4 in 2019. Now, hold up. I know that this is a huge stretch whenever it comes to theories about all of this, but if we go ahead and take a look at this picture on Twitter of a man named Craig Fairbrass who claims that he has worked on Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, but wait, there's also a 4 next to the Modern Warfare series. And apparently now, if you were to go back and look at his Twitter bio now, it's not there anymore. So could that have been a confirmation of Modern Warfare 4 right there? That would honestly end up becoming another video on its own that maybe I might cover later on. But anyways, it could be a reason to why Modern Warfare 2 Remastered could only be receiving a campaign. And finally, the last and simple theory that I've been hearing is that this could all be some sort of cruel April Fool's joke and that some people like Eurogamer and Charlie Intel were all on it this entire time. But then when you sit down and think about this theory, it really doesn't make much sense, as it would make these two sources seem like liars and not credible anymore, as they have always been the reporters that have been bringing out accurate news to their viewers most of the time and have the reputations of never deliberately lying to them. Overall, you guys, these are some very interesting rumors, but in the end, the rumors that are supporting to why the campaign is only becoming remastered is not strong enough to why it could be a good idea. As a fan, I'm still disappointed after hearing all of this news, and to be honest, even my hype for the game has gone downhill. But the only reason why I still have hope is because just like in the beginning of the video, I stated that I'm not going to believe in anything completely until I get some confirmation from Activision or Infinity Ward or whoever is in charge of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered themselves. Me personally, out of all of the theories, the one that made the most sense to me is the one where the campaign is going to come out 30 days earlier and then the multiplayer might come out later, and who knows, maybe not necessarily 30 days, it could come out 2 months before the multiplayer does, or it could come out later on down the road. I don't know, but I feel like that this game will have multiplayer because it really would be a very, very weird and stupid decision to release a game like Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Out of all the Call of Duties that you could have remastered, you decide to remaster Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and not even give it a multiplayer. I don't understand the decision, and I really do hope that Activision doesn't go at the decision. Please, Activision, do not take this as a challenge. No one will seriously buy the game if you're going to just remaster the campaign only. Sure, only a few people might, but it still won't live up to the hype that you guys think it might will. The campaign was amazing, but we still need our multiplayer. But overall, you guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Sorry if it was a little long this time, but I really needed to go ahead and try to think through all of this. And I know that I have been pretty out of it whenever it comes to news such as this, but I've been noticing that every day we were getting some kind of new news when it came to Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. So I decided to wait it out for a couple of days and just go ahead and cover basically everything that I could all in one video instead of having to make separate videos about it. But anyways, you guys, like always, if you guys enjoy the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, click the bell icon so you'll never miss an upload. Follow me on my social media accounts to stay connected, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.